A 17-year-old called Kyle Rittenhouse has been charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder for shootings that took place in Kenosha, Wisconsin recently.
So what's up?
So people are getting injured, and our job is to protect this business, and part of my job is to also help people. If there's somebody hurt, I'm running into harm's way. That's why I have my rifle, because I need to protect myself, obviously. But I also have my med kit.
So this is probably not going to be my most popular video ever, but that's okay. I'm a bit at odds. Frankly, I'm not surprised at the number of people that I'm seeing defending what transpired in Kenosha. There are the conservative side of things, and I hear a lot of them hailing him as a hero, as you know, a defender of the people, as someone who had to do what was right.
Let's talk about Kyle for a second, who's a 17-year-old kid who's probably got bigger balls than most of America, including me. You have shown Antifa and Black Lives Matter that we will not be silent anymore while you burn our cities down and loot from local businesses. You know, most 17-year-old kids nowadays are useless. They sit at home all day, they play Call of Duty, they're bad students. But this kid just showed everyone who is against America how big our nuts are. So thank you, Kyle.
And then I see everyone on the other side decrying him as a white supremacist. It makes me uncomfortable. The conservative side of things, that is. I expect what I expect from the left. You see, the reason that I have a problem with what happened in Kenosha is not for the reason that a lot of people are going to think it is. I personally don't have a problem with firearms, with protecting one's community, when the police have checked out against violence and rowdy protesters, when your governments have just decided to wash their hands of it. Personally, I am all for the least violent resolution to a situation. I do recognize, because I'm not a silly goose, that there are some scenarios where that can't possibly be the case, where there is no peaceful resolution. We might disagree on where that line might be drawn in the sand, but at the end of the day, if someone's about to burn down my house, I think, you know, lethal force might be necessary. What I can't get behind is the idea of purporting a 17-year-old kid as brave for joining a modern-day militia, essentially. A 17-year-old should get the fuck out of Dodge the moment that a riot hits, not find out what happens when you point the business end of an AR at a person and pull the bang switch. The human brain doesn't fully develop until 25. It's absolutely a bad idea to encourage and even excuse any brand of fantasy heroism in a 17-year-old boy because of the chance that someone can, and in this case has, died because of it. 2 someones, actually. Just like it's a bad idea to encourage kids to opt for gender transition surgery and hormone adjustments before an age when they're fully mentally developed. Just like it's a bad idea to encourage a minor to be sexually active before they can mentally process the long-term ramifications of actually making that decision, whether or not certain consequences come to fruition. Just like it's a bad idea to bring your child to a political protest when they can't even fathom the intricate vitriolic wildness that is the political sphere that we exist in today, at an age where they can't comprehend what it is or who it is that they're advocating for. There is this historical precedent, this historical tendency, I guess we could call it, of people taking their political allies that are young children and propping them up on a pedestal for advantageous purposes.
This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you? You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words.
Because they're kids, and as a result, that should shield them from anything and everything that the other side could throw at them. There is a tendency, no doubt, of parents, teachers, of newscasters, of take your pick, with an agenda. And using younger generations, kids, to purport a message to the public. And it's really easy to do because they're very malleable people. They can be easily manipulated into saying whatever it is that you want, doing whatever it is that you want them to, holding up whatever sign you put in their hands.
That's somebody else's hat. Take that hat.
Get your hat back, baby. Look at what you just did to my son. Get your hat back, baby. Get your hat back, baby.
We don't give a Mom likes Trump.
Give me back my hat. 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 Give me back my hat.
I'm telling you right now.
You're gonna steal my property? Yep. I'll follow you to your car and get your license plate.
And I'm walking. I live in town. 911.
You want me to call 911?
How your baby sounds.
You want me to call 911? Taylor, these people right here are taking your hat. They attacked my son.
A lot of the time it's because they don't know any better. What I'm trying to get at here is keep your kids out of politics. Leave your children unradicalized and don't make it seem like the 17-year-old kid joining a militia is an act of patriotism, actually. Because, in all honesty, I don't care how noble it seems to defend against homegrown terrorism. That is a child. Still. That is a child who had his entire life ahead of him. That is a child who, whether or not he's actually convicted and sentenced to jail time for killing people in Kenosha, now has his whole life ahead of him to cope with the fact that he just killed 2 people. Like, irrefutably, he killed 2 people. Full stop. That fact, that irrefutable piece of information, that he is responsible for the death of 2 people, probably gonna haunt him for the rest of his life. I don't think I'm being dramatic when I say that facing mortality is not a fucking Shakespeare play worth of seriousness. Okay, it's real life business. If someone dies in your general vicinity, it has an effect on you as a person. And if you happen to be directly involved, directly responsible for the death of that person, it definitely is going to have an effect on you. Death is not just something you reserve for Hollywood action movies. It is something that each and every single one of us is going to have to come to terms with at some point in our lives, whether we like it or not. Sometimes it happens sooner, sometimes later. But at the end of the day, everyone gets a taste. The stakes in that capacity are as real as they get when you insert yourself into a situation where people have no problem beating you to within an inch of your life, or shooting an 8-year-old child, or burning down whole-ass businesses. I mean, what the fuck are you still doing there? At 17, you might try to tell me, but Weebo, kids join the armed forces all the time at that age. What's the big deal? The notion of recruiting kids into service fresh out of high school, or in some case while they're still in high school, for a chance to elevate themselves with education, rank, or pay from whatever situation they happen to be coming from at that age, just to ship them out of the country into wars that we don't really need to be fighting in. I'm not all for it, sorry. Remember, peace-loving hippie yokel thought who opts never to use deadly force until absolutely, positively necessary. I said as much at the beginning of this video. So that's my stance. I won't stop y'all, but I certainly will not be encouraging it. Okay? That's just me. But that is a whole other conversation from what I'm talking about here. However, that does bring up an excellent point. In contrast to what's going on with Kyle, at least when those kids enter into the armed forces, they do go through boot camp to mobilize into a more competent unit so that they are better prepared for combat should it happen to them. But also, at least a large percentage of those recruits aren't actually seeing combat. But then you also might say to me, but Weebo, it was self-defense. Cool beans, bro. not the conversation we're having. He shouldn't have been there in the first place. I don't know how clear I can be. The moment things go south, get out. You're a kid. You shouldn't be here. And then a few of you might also say to me, but Weebo, the people he shot had criminal records. No love lost. Fantastic. A few less degenerates in our society. All at the expense of this young man's ability to remain innocent of the harsh realities of killing another human being. Was that a fair price to pay? It's interesting. The concept of a firing squad, specifically the concept of the firing squad and the use of the blank cartridge, originates from the idea that if there's just one person executing another person, there is no uncertainty about who is killing who. But if you have multiple people in a line shooting at one object, person, with the intent to kill, there's a little bit of uncertainty there about who's responsible, who's directly responsible for that person's death. Because you can't tell. And as a result, that takes away some of the feelings of guilt, feelings of responsibility that those executioners would have over killing somebody, even if they were a criminal. It's such a potent feeling, apparently. The guilt of taking a life, or the weight of the responsibility of taking a life. It's such a potent phenomena that they invented a way of doing it with multiple people so as to mitigate the amount of weight of responsibility that those people would feel every time they pulled the trigger on somebody. Think about that. If given the chance between being a hero or being a coward at the age of 17, enjoy being a coward. You have the rest of your life to be a hero, and we, the adult party, shouldn't really rely on kids to be our heroes. I don't want that for you. No one should want that for you. Because it comes with an awful load of baggage. You should enjoy your youth while you can. I don't know, there are going to be people that disagree with me. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't fight for what you believe in. I'm not saying that you shouldn't defend the innocent and the weak. What I'm saying is, you shouldn't let the innocent and the weak, children, adolescents, defend you. You shouldn't encourage that kind of behavior. And yet, I'm seeing it.